like beer? Do you love sports and beer? Then you're exactly where you need to be. This is the Huebs Views and Brews show on 1252 Sports Chicago. Cheers.
How's everyone doing tonight? I hope you're all doing well. I'm back after a week off for the NCAA tournament. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. Welcome on in to 1252 Sports and Huebs Views and Brews. And we do this almost every Monday, except when I'm going to take a Monday off here and there. There may be another one coming up in May when I turn 65, and we'll see how that goes. I may be taking one off. I'm heading out of town to a beer fest. Big surprise, right? Going to a beer fest my birthday weekend. But I will talk more about that as we get closer to it. This is actually the second year of podcast with 1252. I went back and looked, and my first podcast with Mike and all the guys from 1252 was last year, April 12th. And April 12th is tomorrow. The White Sox home opener. We're going to talk a lot of White Sox in a little bit. Josh Nelson from Sox Machine will be joining us. But that was my first podcast, and I had Eric Schmidt from Orange and Brew on, and we will talk more about Eric. I had invited Eric on today. He's got some things going on. It's his son's birthday today. He's going out to dinner. Hopefully he enjoys dinner, and that will be wonderful. I always start the podcast, or at least early in the podcast, I start with a beverage because it is Huebs Views and Brews. Today I am drinking, I may or may not have had one of these before. It's called a Clown Car. I mean, before I end the podcast. It's called Clown Car. It's a cream ale with cake batter and vanilla. And it's got a lovely wrap label. It's from 93 Octane out in St. Charles. They got more information too. They just cranked out a new beer last week. You can usually get their beers not only at 93 Octane, but usually at any of the Pride stores, the ones that they can. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I've had this one. I had one of these the other day over at my girlfriend Linda's house, and she loves cream ales. There's a cream ale that they make at Nick and Ivy Brewing, one of our sponsors here at 1252, called the 1853, and she loves that beer. This one's really good too. The Clown Car, as I take a sip. Very, very tasty. It's a wonderful beer. And it's not high alcohol. You can enjoy it. Let's see, 4.9. Okay. It's about 0.8 more than a Miller Lite or a Bud Light. So it's a perfectly wonderful beer. With the summer coming up, I've been told that the temperatures are getting nicer. Should be nice for the White Sox home opener tomorrow. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. Couple things I want to get to really quickly. I was not here last week because of the NCAA tournament. My buddies and I from Sports Phone, about two or three of us, we went out and we watched the game at one of our sponsors from the Megaplex. Game on. We were out there for Monday, watched the game. North Carolina just bit the big one. They're up 40-25 at half, and all kinds of struggles in the second half, and they end up losing to Kansas. Congratulations to Bill Self and Kansas for winning that and a wonderful tournament. Okay, I didn't watch a lot of college basketball during the year. The tournament was awesome. It was great to see the tournament. Nice to see it at different sites. Nice to see things relatively back to normal until I see today that Philadelphia has now said masks again in buildings in Philadelphia. So we'll see if that changes here in Chicago. The Masters took place over the weekend. I am not a golf fan, but I've realized that my gambling is pretty bad with everything else. So I decided to pick two golfers. I think it was Brooks Koepka. I don't think he made the cut. I also picked Colin Morikawa to finish in the top 5, and he did. And I picked Scotty Scheffler, who wins. So you put $5 down at 16-1. You get $80, 80 plus your bet, $85 back. I may just focus on golf from now on. I may be hanging and listening to Randy Merkin over at ESPN 1000. He knows his golf. I got lucky But you pick a guy that's like third or fourth or fifth favorite in a golf tournament, and because there are so many people, the odds are better for you. And my account with PointsBet, not a sponsor, welcome if you would like to. My account at SportsBet was down to $1.13. Right now it's at 86.13 after winning that. NBA playoffs getting underway. You got play-in games Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week. The Bulls, after such a great opening to their season, with everybody they brought in, with Caruso and Lonzo Ball and Vooch being better and healthy and everything else, the season's kind of spiraled out of control. And now the Bulls get to play the Milwaukee Bucks starting. I want to say it's on Saturday. So we'll see if the Bulls can win a game. They did not win a game against the Bucks during the season. They were 0-4 against Milwaukee during the year. So we'll see if, in fact, they have the possibility of winning a game. It would be nice. But let's say, if you're a basketball fan, I wonder if it's nice that LeBron and the Lakers are out. And, of course, they fired their coach. Yeah, he had a lot to do with it. When you get sometimes you get these high-priced athletes in the NBA. They were showing, there was a stat or a graphic on Twitter today talking about 5 players in the NBA and the amount of money they made, also the amount of games they played this year. And it is ridiculous. Some of the money that's getting thrown around in the NBA, and I don't blame the players. I don't blame the players for asking for the money. They can get it. The owners have it. But, geez, the last several years, and I've bitched and moaned about this when I was over at ESPN, but the whole thing about, taking a maintenance day and not being able to play back-to-back games and resting. It's like, come on. It's brutal for NBA fans out there. It's a great sport. There's a lot of great college players. That's why I love the college tournament, because they're out there busting their tail and it was nice to see Kansas, because Kansas is one of the schools that has guys that are seniors and juniors, and they stick around. Now, some people would say that if you have a college player who sticks around and because he's not good enough to go to the pros, we'll wait and see. We'll see if that happens. I know that some of the players that do stick around, they want to get better. And then when you get to the NBA, they can get off to a quicker start. Others, not so much. And they do hang around for a while for that reason, that they're not pro quality, they're not pro caliber. And so we'll see how all things go with that. It was a fun couple of weeks. Now we have baseball. And despite all the complaining and despite all the people saying, I've had enough, I can't take it anymore, I'm not going to watch baseball. As soon as the collective bargaining was worked out, as soon as they said games are going to be played, Cub fans got excited about the Cubs. White Sox fans got excited about the White Sox, as if they weren't already. And we love watching the games. Okay. The collective bargaining and everything else, every couple of years we get stuck like this with our favorite sports. But baseball is my favorite sport. Okay, you see behind me, you see the Comiskey Park old style thing with the White Sox. I've got this Miller Lite right here is a White Sox thing and metal sign. And I'm a huge White Sox fan, have been since my first game when I was 8 years old, 1965. The White Sox and Twins, Gary Peters, Mudcat Grant, and the Sox got shut out. Yeah, it took a while before actually getting a World Series championship. But you know what? That's what happens. And I've been around a lot of Cub fans the last week or so, and they're excited. Cubs won their opener. Sox did not. Both teams 2-1 with the today off. The Cubs go to Pittsburgh. The White Sox have a tough battle coming up the next couple of days. They get the Mariners coming to town, and then they get the Rays, and they go to Cleveland. All these teams are going to be tough, especially with the way things are going for the White Sox in this early season. And to talk about that, we bring in one of my favorite guys. Not only to have him on, but also to listen to his podcast over on Sox Machine, the Sox Machine podcast. Josh Nelson, nice enough to join us here today on Huebs Views and Brews. Josh, what's going on?
It's going. How are you, Fred?
I'm doing well, and you're right. It is going. Major League Baseball is going. This is the first Monday I've done a show in a long time where the team, like a Bulls aren't playing or somebody else, and thank goodness the White Sox are not playing today. because there is plenty to talk about in White Sox baseball. And you figured coming into the season, things will be good. Boy, there's been almost on a daily basis. I don't think anybody got hurt yesterday, but other than that, it's been a really rough first week of preparing for the season and getting ready for the season. What were your thoughts just coming into this season, basically with the Lance Lynn injury and then what we found out about Yoan Moncada?
And now you add Lucas Giolito. I'm wondering, Fred, if this is going to be a recurring theme for all of Major League Baseball in the month of April. And what I mean by this is that because of the lockout, the players could not work with the training staffs of their teams. And the Chicago White Sox decided after the season to overhaul their training staff. So they have a brand new training staff. And the first time they get to meet the players is when everybody reports to spring training late in mid-March. So everyone else was doing their own thing, hiring their own strength coaches and doing their own workouts. Lucas Giolito comes into camp and he is thick, adding a substantial amount of muscle. And everyone was just on their own. And because they're on their own, training staffs are having to catch up. You don't have another normal spring training. We all know about the 2020 shortened season.
Right.
So we haven't had a normal spring training in a while. And the White Sox are getting hit by the injury bug. Now there'll be other teams, I am sure, very soon also getting hit by the injury bug. And it's just going to be it's always a marathon, but this very well might be in 2022, the survival of the fittest. Which team can stay healthiest the longest? Maybe the ones that surprise some folks and make the postseason, not just by talent, but just because they were able to stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Moncada probably surprised a lot of people, but then again, probably not. It seems like since he got COVID, he's not been 100% healthy.
It has seemed that way, and we still don't know the long-term effects, even in every day, as far as folks that have had COVID and long-term COVID. We're still learning about the side effects. And for Yoan Moncada, I mean, poor guy, now it's an oblique injury. And
Right.
Rick Hahn was right to say that we're going to give him 3 weeks off because an oblique injury is really tricky. If he does swing and he swings hard and he pulls that oblique muscle, well, he may be out 4 to 6 weeks. So you don't want to take that risk. You want him to try to be as close to 100% as possible. And he will get some action down in the minor leagues. So we'll see Yoan Moncada shortly. I'm assuming Charlotte is where he is going to be doing his rehab stints to get ready for the regular season. But now he's missed the last week of spring training. So he's got some rust that he needs to break off. And we'll see what Yoan Moncada brings to the White Sox when he does join. But so far through the first series with a combination of Jake Berger and Josh Harrison, the White Sox have been fine.
Yeah, and it was actually it was nice to see a Jake Berger get an opportunity, even though it was because of Moncada's injury. Jake Berger's a guy that's worked. He was much thicker earlier in his career than he is now. He seems to be a little bit more svelte. I wasn't concerned about him playing out there, and he was able to hit the ball in Detroit for a couple of his appearances. That was fun to see. The Giolito and the Lynn. I mean, coming in, the Sox, I know had by a lot of people had them rated their rotation as one of the top 4, 5, 6 rotations in baseball. You take Lynn out, then you take Giolito out. Keuchel's still there, which doesn't make a lot of White Sox fans happy, especially the way he looked in his brief spring training. Granted, it was spring training, but we'll wait and see how he does. I think he's scheduled to pitch on Wednesday, if in fact there is a Wednesday game. Mm-hmm. And because I know the weather's coming and it doesn't look good. But this rotation, what were your thoughts about Kopech yesterday? I know he struggled a little bit early, but he seemed to do okay. Were you surprised they didn't let anybody go 5 either?
Well, Cease made it through 5.
That's right.
I think Tony La Russa max was going to allow 85 pitches and was going to be touch and feel after the 4th inning to gauge on where his guys were. Obviously, Lucas Giolito pulled himself out, coming back to the dugout and saying there's not something right here. Dylan Cease was at 79 pitches. So Tony said it's not even worth you going out and throwing 6 more if we're going to stop you at 85. We got the bullpen this time to help you out and make sure to close out the game. But to your question about Michael Kopech, it's 60 grade stuff. And what I mean by that, using that scouting grade, that his fastball and his slider are above average on the major league level. It has the opportunity to be elite stuff. The command is 40 grade, which is below average. So when you have this, and you typically have this type of profile for young pitchers like Michael Kopech, there are flashes of brilliance, and you see the gifs on Twitter from the pitching ninja. I'm wearing the cap for a pitching ninja. I see the cap,
yep.
And you think that, wow, this guy is elite. He's a stud. But if you sit down and you watch the film, it's like they have a tough time throwing strikes. And Michael Kopech was there, especially to start the game against Detroit. His third and fourth inning was much better, but the velocity was dropping, which was intriguing. But the first 2 innings, he just had a difficult time commanding his fastball and slider. And I mentioned this during the broadcast that he needs a changeup, or he needs a third pitch, because there was one particular at bat where he allows an RBI triple, and it was a 390-foot shot. If that was a guarantee rate field, that is definitely a home run. But at Comerica Park, it's a triple. And he needed some type of off-speed pitch or change of pace pitch, because Reyes of the Tigers was on everything. Was not fooled by the fastball, was not fooled by the slider. Kopech threw a 97-mile-per-hour fastball, one of his fastest pitches of the outing, and Reyes crushed it for 390 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And watching that at bat and going back and watching it, if Kopech had any type of changeup, he probably strikes out Reyes, because Reyes was gunning for 97. And because Kopech doesn't have confidence in that changeup, he didn't throw any changeups at all. And it's funny because after that inning, then Reese McGuire, the catcher of the White Sox, then you saw 7 curveballs. So the next time that Kopech comes out, I want to see more curveballs from Kopech, because he needs to have some type of change of pace pitch other than his fastball slider combination, which harkens back to last year where he was primarily a reliever. And that's fine as a reliever profile.
Sure.
But if you want to have staying power as a starting pitcher, you really need to flash a third pitch, especially when you're going through the order a second or even a third time. And if he wants to give Tony La Russa confidence that Michael Kopech can be a dependable starter, Kopech, 1, needs to command the fastball and slider better. And 2, he needs to start throwing a third pitch to get more outs and keep guys off balance.
One of the things at the end of last season, one of the podcasts, the White Sox Talk podcast with Chuck Garfien, they had Steve Stone on. And Stone said something. He said a lot of great things that made a lot of sense. But the one thing he said about Michael Kopech was, Michael Kopech's got to realize he does not have to throw his fastball, every fastball, as fast as he can. Mm-hmm. He can vary speeds on his fastball. For a guy that can bring it when he's healthy, regular season at 101, he can bring it and take a little off here and a little off there. And he didn't do that. And Stone brought up a great point. Now, I would think that Ethan Katz is a guy that's probably something they're going over with him, but probably first game of the season, pretty geeked up, knows he's being relied on now because of the injuries, probably got into his head a little bit more. Like you said, I'm really looking forward to seeing how he does in his next outing, because they need him this year with Lynn being down for at least 2 months. And with Giolito, and then with what else they have, we'll see Velasquez and see if Ronaldo Lopez ends up getting some starts, and that's a good possibility. But yeah, I mean, I would love to see Kopech become the pitcher. It seems like we've waited for him for a long time because of him taking a year off and everything else. And I think White Sox fans are really expecting him to come around, and it would be nice to see this year. One thing about Dylan Cease, I saw him take the mound in the game the other day, and I thought immediately he doesn't have any friends, because I thought someone would have said that mustache just isn't it isn't
you don't
a good
like
look. I don't know. Maybe if his hair was longer or something, but you saw like not much hair and then the mustache. That's just me, But and it wasn't a bad mustache, but it just didn't seem to fit with him. Lots of other questions I have for you, and Keuchel's one of them. I mentioned this a couple of times last year when he was struggling because I knew he was going out with someone that was very attractive. Now he married her. He got married in the offseason to Kelly Nash, who did a lot of work on MLB Network and everything else like that. What are your hopes for Keuchel? Or better yet, expectations. Hopes could be a lot higher than expectations.
Well, I think my expectations for Dallas Keuchel is have an ERA at 4.5. I don't think that's a very high bar for him to clear. His pitching career is kind of on the line here.
Mm-hmm.
There is a vesting option that if he pitches more than 160 innings this year, he has a guaranteed contract with the White Sox in 2023. Guess what, Fred? Dallas Keuchel is not pitching 160 innings this year for the Chicago White Sox.
No.
I don't think they have any interest in having that vesting option pickup. Different story during 2020 when Dallas Keuchel was excellent for the White Sox. And that's where he needs to get back to as far as that form. And in 2020, his command was pinpoint. Wherever he wanted to throw his 85-mile-per-hour cutter or his 84-mile-per-hour sinker, he could, and he hit both corners of the plate. 2021, the command was terrible. And there are other adjectives I could use to describe his command, but it was just brutal. And you could even hear, you mentioned Steve Stone, even during the TV broadcast, Steve Stone just saying that the cutter is a worthless pitch because if you can't hit the outside corner and you don't have any chance of hitting the inside corner, an 85-mile-per-hour cut fastball down the middle of the plate in today's major leagues is not a pitch you want to throw ever. So when we see Keuchel in this first start, it's just like Kopech, but obviously they're on the different scales of their careers. Keuchel's a former Cy Young with his stuff diminishing because he's getting older. So he needs to focus a lot more on command and the control of his pitches, and he needs to hit the target. If Keuchel does not even come close to hitting his target at all in his first start of the season, and in the other starts of the season going into April and May, everyone's asking, well, if the White Sox trade for a starting pitcher, who's going to the bullpen? Would Kopech go back to the bullpen? I'm thinking Dallas Keuchel could be John Dankst. And that if he is terrible in April and May, and if he's pitching as poorly as he did last year, the White Sox could just cut him and be a sunk cost anyways. You don't want him to pitch 160 innings in the season, but you also don't want to trot out a guy every fifth day who's got a 6 ERA. And that's the risk of Dallas Keuchel in these upcoming starts for the White Sox. So if he wants to survive and prove that he is still a starting pitcher in Major League Baseball, this is really his last chance to prove that. And in order for him to stay and stick around and help the White Sox win games, it is all about where he's locating pitches. And honestly, bring back your history books, folks. If you want to analyze Dallas Keuchel, it's the same way that we talked about Mark Burley back in the day. Mark Burley had to survive, Fred, on his command and control of his pitches because he did not have premium stuff. And it's the same way with Dallas Keuchel.
Yeah, and you bring up age, and I saw on MLB Central today they were talking about Justin Verlander's first game. Now he's 39, and his fastball and everything else are right where they were last time he was healthy and everything was going well. You don't, just because you get old doesn't mean you have to lose your stuff. And usually lefties are going to stick around a little bit longer. They, the old crafty lefty. You never hear very much of the crafty righty. And speaking of pitchers and lefties, it was nice to see Carlos Rodon do well. Mm-hmm. I understand a lot of White Sox fans told me, I can't believe they didn't sign Rodon. And a lot of people are saying today, the deal the Giants got was a great one for what Rodon can do if, in fact, he can pitch throughout the entire season. But I'm not sure about you, but I was happy to see him go to San Francisco and do well.
Oh, I was very happy. I think he is a dark horse candidate to win the National League Cy Young if, and it's a big if, he could pitch more than 160 innings. I mean, the stuff that Rodon has, he struck out 12 in 5 innings in his first start. Pitching now in San Francisco, where every fly ball that's hit, he doesn't have to be scared that it's going to go into the stands.
Sure.
Right? His home run total is going to cut down pitching in San Francisco. That's why I think he's got a tremendous opportunity, if he could pitch more than 160 innings for the Giants this year, to be in that conversation again of a Cy Young award. And if he can, I wouldn't be surprised if he opted out of his contract with the Giants, whether signing a longer deal with the San Francisco Giants or testing free agency again. But it is quite the turnaround for someone like Carlos Rodon, who had to kind of shed his old way of getting ready for seasons, the things that he learned and what got him into the major leagues from NC State, and working with Ethan Katz and the Velocity Core belt, and continuing to stick with that and lose some weight and take his conditioning very seriously in the offseason. And now look at him. He's pumping 98, 99 miles an hour from the left side. Yeah, that was a very good signing for the San Francisco Giants.
Yeah, last year, one of the fun things watching him pitch was when he was bringing it at 98 in his last inning of his outings. And that was fun to see. Because of him coming back and pitching after being hurt, I know he's not here, but I'm happy for him for whatever it is he can do. That's a wonderful thing. But we were talking about the bad things, but in the 3-game series with Detroit, it seems like Luis Roberts is just going to hit everything. He's hitting the ball. Abreu has some nice hits. What were your thoughts on the hitting this weekend? Because TA didn't play the first 2 games, and he just came out yesterday and went 3 for 5. And, he's got the highest average in all of baseball. I know average, people don't care. But over the last 3 years, it's him. And he's just been amazing. So it looks like no matter how the pitching's going to go, these guys are still going to hit start to finish.
Jose Abreu should drive in 120 runs this year when he's got Tim Anderson and Luis Robert hitting in front of him. And I have a lot of confidence they're going to continue to hit like they have been. Now, obviously, all ball players go through their slumps, and they're not going to hit 600 for the season. But I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that both Tim Anderson and Luis Robert have a 310 batting average.
Yeah.
And the thing that impressed me with Luis Robert is that his legs are back. We did not see that last year when he was coming off his hip injury. He did not run, and he was saving that type of energy and instead using it more as far as hitting. And he was very effective hitting wise, showing off a lot of power, and he just didn't want to get hurt again. And he wanted to help the team in the postseason. Well, now he's fully healthy, and him suggesting there is more in the tank than we saw from last year is a very scary thought. And this is a very Chicago thing, Fred, but I think the drum beat needs to get louder, especially with the national folks. I continue to hear that Byron Buxton is today's version of Eric Davis, and that Byron Buxton is the center fielder that could overtake Mike Trout and beat him in wins above replacement and win the MVP. I like Luis Robert more than Byron Buxton. And I know Buxton is off to a strong start, and I think this is going to be a fascinating rivalry that we've got in the American League Central between Buxton and Robert. And the fact that Robert, in a situation with runners on first and third, even though Jose Abreu is batting, that he is stealing second. One, he's got his legs back.
Yep.
It is not out of the realm of possibility of Luis Robert being a 30 home run, 30 stolen base type of hitter. And the fact that he's able to steal second, Jose Abreu, who led the league in grounding into double plays, all of a sudden has runners on second and third, nobody out. You don't dare want to walk Jose Abreu, because now you got Yasmani Grandal hitting behind him and Eloy Jimenez, and we saw how well Andrew Vaughn hit.
Yep.
You can't take that risk. You have to try to get Jose Abreu to hit the ball in the ground to just drive in a run, and you rather give up one run to avoid a big inning. And the fact that the White Sox have this type of offense now of these guys that are able to put the ball in play. They did not strike out a lot against the Detroit Tigers. A great thing to see. This has got a chance to be one of the most effective offenses in all of Major League Baseball. I do not know if they're going to go toe-to-toe with the Toronto Blue Jays in the home run department, where the Blue Jays right now look like they're going to hit 300-plus home runs this season. But I think the White Sox will hit more than 200 home runs. But the thing about the White Sox is that they're constantly putting the ball in play, and the strikeout rate remains low, and they have some guys taking more walks. This team has a chance to average at least 5 runs per game. And we have seen in recent years that your winning percentage is above 600 when you score 5 or more runs in a Major League Baseball game. So there is a chance that if the White Sox offense continues the way they've been hitting in Detroit and brings it back home against Seattle and Tampa Bay, despite all of the questions about the pitching, the offense could make up for that gap. And I was very impressed at how well they played.
Two more baseball questions. I want to ask you some pigskin after that, because I got Jerry Rice right behind me too. But I like Adam Engel. I was hoping he can get back to where he was 2 years ago with his 295 average. But when the White Sox made the deal for A.J. Pollock, I could not have been happier, because, it's the old thing. If he can stay healthy, he's really, really good. And for a really good outfielder, guy that's won a couple of Gold Gloves, to do what he did the other day at Javi Baez was pretty bad when you close your glove before the ball gets there. But hopefully that won't happen very often. But what were your thoughts on them going out and getting A.J. Pollock? Because they needed to move Kimbrel, and that turns out looks like it's a wonderful deal.
Yeah, I think that was the best that Rick Hahn could do at the time. It's April 1st. The Dodgers are really the only contending team that is willing to spend that type of money for a closer, and they have a hole in their roster for a closer. And the fact that they have this abundance of depth in the outfield that they're willing to part A.J. Pollock, I just thought it was a very smart deal for both teams to exchange. And the money is pretty even as well when you consider that A.J. Pollock has a $5 million buyout if he does not pick up his player option for the 2023 season. I know there's a lot of attention to the misplay in game 1 in right field, and hopefully Pollock is able to bounce back. We don't see another error like that in the field. But I would like White Sox fans to pay more attention to the fact that he was 4 for 7 at the plate. And even though Tim Anderson isn't in the lineup, Pollock served as a very good leadoff hitter as well. And when Pollock gets back from the paternity leave and he checks out his hamstring, and he caught it in time and he didn't pull it, maybe it's just a cramp, and he is effective and the trainers say he's good to go, he doesn't need to go on the injured list. I mean, an AJ Pollock, Fred, batting 6th, 7th, or God forbid 8th in this lineup,
right,
is just ridiculous. There's no one in the American League Central, as we are learning very early this season, that has that type of lineup, nor do they have the quality of pitching to be able to shut down a lineup like the Chicago White Sox have. And the fact that A.J. Pollock does very well against right-handed pitching also helps a sore spot for the White Sox. So I thought it was a terrific move by Rick Hahn. I really do think it saved his offseason overall. And I can't wait to see more A.J. Pollock in the White Sox lineup, especially with Tim Anderson back.
Yeah, one thing that you and I'm pretty sure, have disagreed with is the defensive ability of Yasmani Grandal behind the plate. And it was on display the other day when he has a called third strike go off his glove and it rolls away. And he also was calling the pitches, and who knows what he was calling when Javi Baez is up, because there's runners on, and maybe he doesn't want to call the ball in the dirt because maybe he can't stop it. But I'm going to leave Yasmani alone today, other than that, because the Sox went out and got Reese McGuire, who everybody was saying, well, why would you go get a guy that does this in parking lots? I don't care. Behind the plate, what he does is awesome. And I was listening to the broadcast the other day, and I don't know how many times Darren Jackson in like the first 4 innings said it's so nice to have a great defensive catcher behind the plate. And that's wonderful, because if you have to have Yasmani Grandal DH more in big games and you can have McGuire behind the plate catching, that's why they needed a defensive catcher, and apparently they got a really good one.
Yeah. Now, as far as the arguments for Yasmani Grandal defensively, when you're comparing Grandal to Zach Collins and Sebi Zavala, this is where I would ask White Sox fans to calm down. Like, we have seen worse defensive catchers than Yasmani Grandal. But now with Reese McGuire into the mix, McGuire's better defensively. He's better at blocking. He's better at throwing down a second base. He's better at framing than Yasmani Grandal. The pitchers for the White Sox like to work with Yasmani Grandal, and Grandal is still above average defensively for catchers. This is not a very strong catcher class throughout Major League Baseball. Everyone is thirsty for catchers right now. So comparatively speaking to the other catchers in Major League Baseball, Grandal still grades well. not as well as Reese McGuire. And the throw down to second base to get Robbie Grossman to caught stealing. The Detroit Tigers last year, Fred, ran wild on the White Sox.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a pitch in the dirt. McGuire picked it and made a strong throw on target. You couldn't place the ball any better. And it was there plenty of time for the tag to be made. And it's that type of play where there's no chance in hell Zach Collins makes that play.
Sure.
There's no chance that Sevi Zavala makes that type of play.
Right.
And it does make me wonder, Fred, like, I get why Toronto made the trade. They would want more position flexibility, and they essentially swapped catchers because Zach Collins has an option and they can send him to AAA, where Reese McGuire doesn't have any options. They didn't want to carry a third catcher, and they didn't want to cut him and not get anything back. So they exchanged catchers. This may be also a very sneaky good move by Rick Hahn, because now there is no concern at all. I'm not sweating bullets if Yasmani Grandal needs a day off. The White Sox have a very good defensive catcher as his backup.
Okay, are you sweating bullets that Jimmy G may not be a Niner, or that he may be a Niner when next season rolls around? Because I thought he was going to be moved and gone when the season started, and it didn't happen. Yeah, there's my wonderful picture. But yeah, and he's still around. I keep hearing people talk about Debo needs a deal. What are your Niner thoughts? As we got plenty of time before the season starts, but how are your Niners thoughts at this point?
I don't want to be John Lynch. This is starting to get a bit messy in the Bay for the 49ers. And I would like to see Trey Lance get the starting gig and see what you got. You gave up so much to move up in the draft to get him.
Right.
And you believe that he is your future quarterback. Let's see what he can do. The fact that Jimmy G was not traded in the offseason, I think, is tied to the shoulder surgery.
Right.
And there may still be an opportunity that he gets traded. I don't know if he's going to have a starting gig, though, in the NFL. That's what I'm pondering here. And the fact that Jed York is telling reporters, well, hey, at one point, the 49ers had Joe Montana and Steve Young as the quarterback. So, yeah, we could totally carry Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance. It's not the same thing.
No, it's
Jed.
not anymore.
It's just not the way it is. So I don't know if Jimmy G would even be comfortable being a backup quarterback and helping Trey Lance on the sideline after drives and making sure that he understands of what Kyle Shanahan wants him to do in these types of situations during a drive, like a 3rd and 7, for example. And you need Trey Lance to be more focused on making a good throw to George Kittle or Deebo Samuel over the middle than just thinking I'm running for the first down, because you're not going to survive in the NFL very long. But now you want Deebo to get paid. I get it. He should get paid. He was the heart and soul of 49ers offense.
Yep.
The defensive secondary is still a mess. You don't have any draft picks. Yeah, it would not be fun to be John Lynch right now and being the GM of the 49ers. So I tip my cap to him. I hope he does a good job. There's still some talent on this team, but it's just like the White Sox as well. The 49ers need to stay healthy. If they could stay healthy, they could still be a very good team in 2022, but I just don't know how much help they're going to be able to get.
Okay, and now what is it with Kyle Shanahan in the second half of playoff games and postseason games? Oh, my God. I mean, it's brutal.
Yeah, it seems like all good, not great, because I think the difference between good and great is that the great coaches understand what their weaknesses are, and then eventually they figure it out and they overcome it. Kyle Shanahan's a good coach. What's preventing him from being great and winning championships is his struggles with play calling in the fourth quarter. And there are now multiple instances, even back when he was with the Atlanta Falcons and in that Super Bowl. And even now with the 49ers as well in that Super Bowl, being up against Kansas City 20-10 going into the fourth quarter, that the offense stalls, the momentum is lost, and the game leaves the grasp. And it is something that he needs to improve upon coming into the 2022 season. And I think that's what's preventing him, because Fred, if he didn't have this monkey on his back, Kyle Shanahan may have 2 Super Bowl rings. One as an offensive coordinator and one as a head coach. Yeah.
And this year, I really thought they had the possibility to get to the Super Bowl again this year. and there was no doubt in my mind they could. Their injuries, and you're right, their secondary is brutal. Every time a passer dropped back to throw, I was just cringed because it was not good. Before I let you go,
Russell Wilson, anymore.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Before I let you go, I know I saw earlier today that you guys over at Sox Machine are going to be involved with Lawrence Holmes over on the Score doing some stuff.
Yeah, big thanks to Mitch Rosen, who's the program director at 670 The Score, and Ray Diaz, who's the executive producer of the Lawrence Holmes Show. Fridays, we're going to be on the Lawrence Holmes Show, providing our White Sox analysis, myself along with Jim Margulis. So we're really excited about the opportunity. You know, Lawrence he's already got Steve Stone. James Fegan is also going to be making weekly appearances. The fact that we're also going to be part of that trio is very humbling, and we are honored for that opportunity. But yeah, for those that are listening right now, if you enjoy our analysis, we'll be on Fridays at 1:00 on the Lawrence Holmes Show at 670 The Score.
Yeah, Lawrence is a diehard, and I saw the thing that you guys posted, and Lawrence gets quite upset. And I know he was doing a lot of stuff last year right after games, and it was always fun to watch his commentary after games. So I'm sure you guys will have fun on Fridays, and hopefully it'll be fun all the way through October. And that's what at least we'd like to see, a playoff series victory. That's one step at a time. So that's the next step for the White Sox. Josh, appreciate it as always. Thank you very much. And we'll be listening. We'll be talking to you soon.
All right. Thank you so much, Fred. Have a good night.
Thanks, Josh. Josh Nelson from the Sox Machine. Some great stuff. I had a couple other baseball things and some beer stuff. But because I've been talking long enough, and I got some beer, and Josh talked more than I did because I was sitting here trying to just soak in all the White Sox knowledge that he has from the Sox Machine and the guy Jim Margulis and all the guys over there. We're gonna run some sponsors. We come back. I get some more baseball stuff, a couple of soccer comments, and some beer stuff before we get out of here.
Hello. This is Paul from Nick and Ivy Brewing Company. We are located at 1026 South State Street in historic downtown Lockport, Illinois. We are very excited to be partnering up with the Fat Mike Chicago Sports Show, as well as the 1252 brand, because we are one of the few Chicagoland breweries that embrace sports and sports culture. Come in for a fresh brewed beer made right here in Lockport while catching the game of your favorite team. Stay for the live music that we have booked every weekend, or just come for a cozy atmosphere to enjoy a good conversation with a friend, loved one, or complete stranger. Nick and Ivy makes you feel right at home no matter what the occasion is. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook by searching for Nick and Ivy Brewing Company. Visit our website for our up-to-date tap list or to go shopping on our online store at nickivybrewing.com. That's NIKIVY brewing.com. Come in today for a fresh brewed beer born and raised in Lockport, Illinois.
Megaplex Sports Complex is a 78,000 square foot center filled with hardwood and turf. They have baseball rentals with batting cages, softball, soccer, lacrosse, gymnastics, cheerleading, cornhole, basketball, volleyball, and pickleball. It also features a bar and grill with the best pizza and beef sandwiches around. They cater to events such as birthdays, graduations, corporate parties, as well as memorabilia shows. Check them out at Megaplex Sports Complex, 15301 South Bell Road in Homer Glen, 708-966-4210.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Darren, licensed real estate broker with Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group in Homer Glen. Are you looking to buy or sell? Have you been disappointed in the past? The Jonathan Darren team with Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group focuses on providing you with a concierge level of service during the process of buying or selling. We are a service-oriented team with a fresh and professional approach to selling real estate. Our goal is to combine knowledge, skills, and passion to exceed our clients' expectations, and most of all, we truly care. We are a knowledgeable real estate team focused on offering expertise and innovative solutions for our clients. The Jonathan Darren team has 5 full-service real estate brokers and a dedicated full-time marketer servicing all of Chicagoland. We will customize a detailed plan around your timeline for a sale, purchase, investment, estate, or other needs. Real estate transactions can be stressful, but don't need to be. Let us handle it for you. Visit our website, homesbyjdt.com, or call 708-308-1938 today. Expect better in real estate. Choose the Jonathan Darren team.
Oh, we saw in there the sponsors, Nick and Ivy, Jonathan Darren, and also Game On. And I mentioned I was at Game On last Monday with my buddy Tom Kelly. Joe Davis was there. Chris Bowden, who hopefully gets his gig over on WGN TV. That would be wonderful to see. We were watching the game, the NCAA tournament game at Game On, and tremendous place to watch sports. Okay. There's a lot going on, 153rd and Bell Road, and they have great, great food, cranking out some awesome pizzas. We had a great pizza there. They had wonderful, I think we had spinach artichoke dip to start with, and great beers. They have some of the beers from Nick and Ivy. And Nick and Ivy, I didn't get a chance to get out there. They have to learn down the street. They have half a keg left, and they were trying to finish the keg tonight. I love that beer. One of my favorite beers at Nick and Ivy, the Learn Down the Street. So if you're watching this, you get a chance, you're out in the area, head on out there and grab one of the Learn Down the Streets from Nick and Ivy. A couple other baseball things I want to get to. The Cubs win 2 out of 3 from the Milwaukee Brewers. That was nice to see for Cub fans. Seiya Suzuki had a nice weekend, walked 4 times. I want to say the Cubs saw more pitches in their 3 games than any other team in baseball, which is nice to see. A team that strikes out a lot and did last year. And nice to see. Maybe they're changing their hitting style a little bit, looking at more pitches. Suzuki was fun. Their starting pitchers, Hendricks, Steele, and Stroman all pitched well. Stroman left with a lead yesterday, and the lead got away from the Cubs. They had another chance late in the contest, and there was a replay that didn't go the Cubs' way on a slide into first base. Now, if you run through the base, you get there quicker. Sometime all Major League Baseball players will realize that. Run through the base, you get there quicker. Diving for the base and reaching out for it, you don't get there any faster. So the Cubs have a day off today. They go to Pittsburgh. And usually when you go to Pittsburgh, it's a time to make some hay. So we'll see how the Cubs do this weekend. Keegan Thompson suspended for 3 games. Why? Because they said he threw at Andrew McCutchen. There's a good chance he did. But Contreras got hit. Contreras gets hit every time the Brewers play the Cubs. And they've had enough of it. So Keegan Thompson went out and they hit McCutchen. Things will happen when you get that Milwaukee and Chicago rivalry in the National League. You'll get that. And Anthony Rizzo. I mean, Cub fans have to hate that he left. And there was Ernie Banks, and then there was Anthony Rizzo. Anthony Rizzo, for the people who didn't see Ernie Banks, was basically Mr. Cub from the time he got here. Okay. When he was in New York with the Yankees earlier in the preseason, in spring training, I'm already in football mode. In spring training, he and Luke Voigt almost got into a fight because of the way that Luke Voigt was treating some of the younger players. Rizzo, in the first 3 games of the season, of the weekend here, their first 3 against Boston, he had at least 2 RBIs in each of the Yankees' first 3 games. The last player to do that for the Yankees was Babe Ruth. Okay? And they did a great piece on MLB Central today. Mark DeRosa, Carlos Pena, breaking down the way that Anthony Rizzo hits. And the one thing I've always liked about Anthony Rizzo is you see a lot of left-handers bitch and moan and complain about the shift, which is probably going away in some aspect next year. But Anthony Rizzo has always been able to hit the left center. He's always been able to go the other way against the shift. And he's able to do that. He's got a couple homers already this year for the Yankees. It's good to see. I never like seeing the Yankees win, ever. I'm a Sox fan. Growing up, I would go to games. It was Sox-Yankees doubleheader. It's like, oh, my God, they're not going to win. The Sox couldn't beat them. Every year, there were years there where the Sox would finish second. Damn Yankees. That's before they had divisions. It was just the American League and the National League. I know. Go look it up. It used to be that way. American League, National League, the winners play in the World Series. That's it. Now we've got, 7 teams from each league playing in the playoffs, and it's crazy. That's enough baseball. But in soccer, and I know I haven't talked much about soccer, Mike and I laughed a couple times because the Chicago Fire were not scoring goals. Well, the Chicago Fire is still not scoring goals. But through 6 games, the Chicago Fire is 6th in the Eastern Conference. I'm looking at these stats, so I make sure I get them right. They've won 2, lost just 1. They lost 1-0 to Orlando over the weekend in Orlando. And the White Sox, the Chicago Fire have tied 3 games. So out of the 6 games, 2 wins, 3 ties, and they have 9 points so far. They've only scored 5 goals in their 6 games. They've only allowed 2. Their defense is playing well. One of their best defenders, a guy they picked up from Cologne in the offseason from Germany, he's been out for the last couple of games. Hopefully he can come back this week because the Chicago Fire are expecting a big crowd on the lakefront, Soldier Field, as they take on the LA Galaxy. Let me check and see how the Western Conference. The LA Galaxy are currently in second. Through 6 games, they have 4 wins, 2 losses. And they bring in Chicharito. It'll be a huge crowd. There'll be a lot of fun at Soldier Field. So if you're looking to see some good soccer, hopefully it's not supposed to rain, but only temperatures in the 40s. Maybe freeze out those LA Galaxy players. Chicago Fire used to it after a while. So I'll be out there on Saturday night, going to several games this year. That's one of them. One I picked right off the bat. Wanted to see the Galaxy and the Fire. Fire playing well. So it'd be nice to go on out there and see them. A couple of beer notes before I get. Before I can do the beer notes, we have a show. Sorry, I'm rocking you if you're watching. We have a show on Fridays. Okay, it's the Over Under with Harry Berg. He does his show on Friday nights. He knows he's got the odds. He's got the numbers. He knows who to go with, and he's 4-0 this week. So he's got 2 bets for tonight. He's got 2 that he likes for tonight. The Angels are taking on the Marlins, and Michael Lorenzen going. Michael Lorenzen at -130 for the Angels against the Marlins. And the Padres, with Nick Martinez on the bump, going against San Francisco. Padres and Nick Martinez are +140. So he likes both of those. He's off to a nice little start. So that's good. A good thing. See how Harry's picks do tonight. And yeah, we'll see how that happens. Now for the beer things really quickly. I'd mentioned 93 Octane, and that's what I'm drinking now. I'm drinking a Clown Car from 93 Octane Brewing. There you go. Right in St. Charles. Great place. If you pull up and you see there's a gas station, just look to your right, and there's 93 Octane, okay? They have a new beer they just put out right before Masters. It was called Swing Lube, L-U-B-E, Swing Lube. Get it, 93 Octane. It's a new Cole-style session ale. Check that out if you get a chance. He's got that in cans. Not only at 93 Octane, but you can always go to any of the Pride stores. It was great having Mario on a couple of weeks ago. They're doing a great job. Beer under glass this year. It had been at the Garfield Park Conservatory since I remember. And it's been numerous years that I went there. It's going to be May 13th, Friday, May 13th at Union Station. So check it out if you're interested in going to a great beer fest. Check it out. Go to the Illinois Craft Brewers Guild and find out more information about the Beer Under Glass coming up on May 13th. That is the start of Beer Week in Chicago. And in Orange and Brew, we were out there. Mike and I were out there. We did a show on Saturday, like a pop-up show. You can still find it on 1252. You can go to YouTube or Spotify and hear it all. We also had a chance to sit down and talk with Deion Thomas, former Illini great. He did games for the Illini this year. We talked about Illinois and Illinois basketball and the tournament, so that was good to see. But we were out there on Saturday. They had a free throw shooting contest. Mike and I shot. I missed the first 3 all to the left, and then I made 3 of the last 7. So I figured, not too bad. 3 out of 10. I was shooting kind of like the big guy from North Carolina, because he was struggling from the free throw line. But it was fun. Raised money for the Chicago Mentoring Impact and a charity with Tracy Abrams and the guys at guys at Orange and Brew. A great job. They had some Fat Mike on tap. I was drinking Moore's Session Ale. That was awesome. That's Moors. You can find it at some of the bottle shops and things like that. It was awesome. I only had several. I only had 3 or 4, but my girlfriend Linda said it sounded like I had more. But anyway, so that was cool. Nice going out and seeing Eric and the guys from Orange and Brew. Great seeing people in downtown Downers Grove. Alan, producer for me today. I don't have a What's Up Fred's can. I'm actually in good mood. I'm in a great mood today. Talk baseball. Talk a little bit of soccer, getting ready for White Sox home opener tomorrow at 3 o'clock start for a little after 3 with all the festivities and things like that. Cubs go to Pittsburgh. I'll be back next week. Next week, I'm hoping to have Courtney Finicum. She is, if you're a Sox fan, if you're a craft beer person, you probably follow her on Twitter. You may not. And she knows her baseball. She's a Denver Broncos fan, and she knows her craft beer. And she travels quite a bit, so she's always posting pictures of the craft beer flights. And we hope to have her on next Monday night, the 18th. And until then, for the Catholics out there, it's a big week. Easter coming up on Sunday. That means, Friday, Good Friday. So, wanted to pass along to all happy Easter to all the Catholics out there. And for those who aren't, just enjoy yourself. Eat meat on Fridays. It won't matter because we'll just be giving it to you. We can't do that. So until next week, don't forget, 1252, great shows throughout the week. We got Bears Fan with a Brain. If you missed that last week, my brother just called me today. He goes, I watched it. He goes, so much fun watching Brian Urlacher and Rosie Colvin. Again, if you miss any of the shows, go to 1252 Sports on YouTube or on Spotify. You can find them all there. And if you're on Facebook and following us, just go to Facebook, look up 1252 Sports, that or on Twitter, and you can check out the shows. Great show. Great getting Brian Urlacher on, talking with some of his linebacker partners, Warwick Holdman, Rosie Colvin. A lot of fun. So catch all the shows throughout the course of the week. We got shows going almost every day. The Friday, you got Harry. You've got Mike Hughes, who just does pop-up shows. He's doing a show, I think, actually after me. He's doing a show about the WNBA draft. So you can catch him on the 1252 network, too. So we got all kinds of stuff for you, the sports fan. And if you have any comments, you want to know, want us to talk about certain things, you want us to get certain guests on, let us know. Just leave comments, and we'll do the best we can. So thanks to Alan. Thanks to Josh Nelson from the Sox Machine for jumping on today. And thanks to you for listening and watching on 1252 Sports. Huebs, Views, and Brews. I'll finish this one. I may have another one. You never know. It's early Monday night. Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to 1252 Sports Chicago.